listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. It's not about the destination. It's about going someplace you never thought possible. Go to imaginenext.ingrammicro.com to find out more. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Keri Roberts, and my guests today are Brian Borsching, a Samsung Solutions Specialist at Ingram Micro, and Ian Pugh, a Financial Solutions Ninja with Ingram Micro. Welcome, Ian and Brian. Thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate you having us, Keri. Ian, you always get the cool titles.
We'll see.
So we want to talk today about Samsung Financial Solutions because they're now offering flexible payment options that are exclusive to Ingram partners. But before we get into the details of that, can you share a little bit more on how Samsung has been reacting to end users' requests to flexible payments, especially over the last few months?
Well, I can tell you, here at Ingram Micro and as a bisection of that, our Samsung team, we've been trying to look at every opportunity on a case-by-case basis to find the best solution, for that particular customer. In some cases, we've been able to offer extended terms, or we've upped credit lines to try to be flexible. As the world's largest technology distributor, we do have a lot of resources that the guy down the street may not have. But to be honest, I don't think it's sustainable to operate this way. We want to be more proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. When we're thinking about the industry right now as a whole, where is it and what do you think is causing this reaction to everything going on?
You can take that one, Brian. There's a lot going on, and I think that's an understatement, right? When you kind of look at what's happening in the news feed and everything happening both in the channel, the technology channel specifically, what we're finding is that buyers, and really in our personal life, and we're buying things, at home, or when we're buying things in the work or in our professional life, buyers are typically reacting more favorably when they're offered flexible ways to pay for things. And again, let's use our personal lives as an example. We're almost nearing the point of subscription fatigue, right? You can subscribe to nearly anything to get a service or a product or what have you. And I would suspect that why we really are reacting so positively to this is that we're really a consumer economy. And when we want something now. And now what a lot of people in the technology sector, again, in our personal lives have done is that when somebody doesn't have the cash on hand to buy now they can pay for it over time. And they can take that deal off the street, they can secure that new customer, and really everybody in the value chain wins, right? The buyer gets the technology or the service now, the vendor, the partner, whoever's involved in selling it, again, gets to capture that sale. And you got the backdrop of the pandemic and an uncertain economy, which is, I think, even tightening some capital budgets. So all those things combined, I think, are really leading us towards an opportunity that we have here to really offer our end users flexible ways to pay for things, no matter what we're selling.
Yeah, Brian, Ian just touched on kind of what's happening right now. Where do you see the market going, and what is Samsung's vision?
Now, as we adjust to this new normal, we'll call it, I see a lot of value in digital signage as a wave of the future. Businesses are reopening right now, and they're going to have to earn their customers' trust back. I can tell you personally, there are restaurants I used to love going to, but when I walk down the street and I see that they just have handwritten signs on their doors to talk about their new hours, they're not embracing technology, I personally get a little worried. I say, are they taking the sanitation steps that are needed to reopen safely and efficiently for the public? I have to question these things, and I think a lot of businesses need to do that. And as we move forward, digital signage is going to be a great way to give your business a facelift, show that you are adapting technology, you're taking everything seriously, and putting your best foot forward as we move into 2021.
I'm curious also, when we're talking about these screens, and Brian, you had made the comment about if you pass a restaurant or something and they don't have kind of this new technology, you're kind of turned off by it, or it makes you think about, are they doing what they need to do from a cleanliness standpoint? But I think a lot of businesses, if we're talking in that way, understand, okay, there's a screen, but they don't understand like what software they need or how they even update that. Is there software that comes with this?
Depending on the solution, Magic Info software could be used as your content creation and management suite. As we say in the industry, content is king, but they're all very accessible tools. And I think it's a great way to give your business an image and give it a kind of style that is so much harder to do when you're working through printing presses and you have to go out and a graphic designer design one things, and then you have to go and get it printed elsewhere, and then you have to physically put it up. When it's digital signage, once that display is set up, you can do it from your laptop. Some of these things you can do from your mobile device. Very clean and easy tools that let your business have a particular image that it wasn't achievable before this technology was prevalent.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, because I agree. It's simpler, it's easier. Once you understand the software and you have the piece of hardware, then you can constantly update it. And like you said, showcase your brand as well. It's a good point. Now, Brian, too, for products that were at the end of their sales cycle that need to be upgraded, a lot of people are feeling they're stressed about money. We're in the middle still of a pandemic. What's the solution here, do you think?
Well, I definitely think what we're talking about today is going to be the best option, bar none, out there. These flexible payment plans that we're setting up through Samsung are going to be the way for the business that needs to refresh or the business that's interested in new technology to adapt without risking all of their working capital, without having to worry about financially where they're going to be if they make this investment now instead of a year from now. And especially on the cusp of 8K technology being the latest and greatest, do you take the risk right now and maybe I'll do a 4K display and then be stuck with it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years? Or do you spend the money to invest in 8K? We want to remove all of those worry points right now with these flexible payment programs.
How would you say partners are selling Samsung today? And are there any other risks involved that we haven't discussed already?
I can take a run at that one. I mean, I think when you think about the current selling motion, right, longer sales motion than anybody would want, often leading and ending with margin negotiations. So everybody's, especially on the seller side, maybe not feeling great about how the deal or how the exchange or engagement has gone, and ends with you asking the end user to strike a big fat check, right? So one of the things I'd ask the audience to think about is, did anybody wake up this morning wanting to fully own Samsung technology? Or do they conversely really want to use Samsung technology but consume it in a really easy way where the destination no longer is ownership, but the destination is more of a rental? And what I mean by that is that technology, that 8K technology, again, there's going to be something that's going to come out in the future. But when you buy now and you go into a flexible payment plan, the destination is not ownership, where you kind of use that thing, to Brian's point, until it breaks or has significant signs of failure. You use it for its lifespan, let's just call it 3 years, and at the end of the term, you're upgrading into the new. You take advantage of the new innovation. You're also probably going to have a better service experience with the newer technology as well. So again, the selling motion today is really centered around the idea of ownership, and the pivot that a lot of the channel partners out there in the community have is to have the destination be a life cycle, thinking about the usable life of the technology, and again, using flexible payment plans to get to that end.
Now, Ian, you've also been heard using the phrase technology hoarder. Can you explain a little bit more about what this means?
Yeah, that was something that we came up with, and it was kind of fun. We were actually kind of in a war room setting, if you will, with our selling communities, and we were just talking about, what is the impact of folks that are holding on to technology for too long? And we kind of coined the term technology hoarders, and it's exactly that. It's customers whose destination is owning the technology, mostly driven from us only offering that consumption option. And then the problem is that even if it's in the best interest of the customer to make an upgrade, sometimes good becomes good enough. And we all know with the rampant pace of innovation, we understand how tough competition is now. When you become a technology hoarder and really believe that good is good enough, to Brian's example, you're going to be using the chalkboard to get your message out versus all of the digital innovation that is out there to help you, again, communicate your story and your values outwardly to the markets that you serve.
So how is Samsung mitigating these risks that we're talking about?
I think Ian can put it best, exactly the details of this program we're going into here. He is our financial ninja.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, when we think about the risks that we're trying to mitigate, I would say maybe not a risk, but an evolution. The evolution is a different selling motion. The motion that very early in the sales engagement with an end user, whether it's an existing customer or a new one, we're talking about consumption preferences. We're talking about the idea of flexible ways to pay. And what happens is that when you get a customer to enroll in their first flexible payment kind of environment or structure, you're going to see that the risk that we're really mitigating is not only at kind of day one, but in the years into the future, right? Think about a world in which each of your customers is managed to a technology lifecycle where it's predestined that they upgrade at the end of the term. And the risk that we're really eliminating for you is that you're able to sell a services experience and deliver that experience because you're not spending a lot of your time chasing down equipment that's breaking or showing signs of age, or replacement parts maybe are really difficult to find because, again, every 3 years we're refreshing that technology to something that's having a material and positive impact on the end users that they're serving.
And as we mentioned earlier, Samsung Financial Solutions is offering flexible payment options that are exclusive to Ingram partners. Can you tell us a little bit more about what partners can expect with this financial program that we haven't discussed yet?
Really, this was our reaction for the market telling us that we needed to provide flexible ways to pay for Samsung technology. And really the crux of it is Samsung has sponsored a 3-year 0% program where a customer can pay the exact same amount over time that they would if they were to strike a check. There's some other really nice nuances to the program that I'm sure the audience would be attracted to. The first is that you can use your own branding on the contract, so it looks like it's your very own kind of rental or as a service type of strategy. Number two, you can add your managed services experience to the contract, so it really looks like it's a unified experience, but also the billing is provided in a unified way. Thirdly, there's some integrations that we can set up for your sellers, making the quoting, the approval process, and the documentation just a breeze. We're mindful and we know, and we've been the most successful when we make it easy for sellers to sell. We typically see, again, more traction and more success. And then the last thing that I'll call out, and I think it's an understated challenge that a lot of folks in the channel have, especially today in the pandemic, is getting paid and getting paid timely. So in this program, as soon as you deliver the project, you will be funded in full within hours of that project, again, being complete. So more nuance and details, and hopefully we've piqued your interest to have some conversations even further into what the program can do for you.
Now, we always ask on this show about technology as a whole. So I'm curious, Brian, I'll start with you. When you think of technology, where do you see it going in the next year?
Especially with everything that's happened in this past year, I truly believe digital signage is not just the technology of today, it will be the technology of tomorrow. As businesses make more efforts to become green, we can cut down on traditional ways of doing things, using printers to put up signs and having to change actual manual menu boards and the like. It can all be replaced with this beautiful, clean digital technology that is going to make the earth a better place, environmentally speaking, and it's just so sleek. Technology is getting better and better, especially as LED gets adapted more and more. I think we're really going to see some exciting stuff in the next 3 to 5 years.
Ian, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a one-trick pony here. I mean, especially with my title being a financial services ninja. But I guess I would just, when I look forward, technology continues to move at fever pitch. And I ask myself if the differentiation is always going to be on the technology itself. And when you think about the onset of as a service and subscriptions and cloud, where you really see the innovation is not only on the technology set, but on the way you allow people to buy from you and the services experience that you ultimately provide to your end user. So when I think moving forward, I think technology will continue to be central to the way we think about innovation and we think about progress. But I think even more important than that as we go forward is the way that the channel bundles these products and services together that are really easy to understand and even easier to buy.
Now, if people want to learn more, like we said, this is an exclusive program for Ingram partners. If they want to learn more, they want to connect, where is the best place to do that?
Yeah, great question, and thanks for that. Sales at Ingram Micro, FPS.com.
And we will add that in the show notes as well. Thank you both so much for sharing your knowledge about this exciting topic today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Keri.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSol with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Keri Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production with Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform.